Hi, konnichiwa minasan. So we are now on our lesson 9. So in this lesson 9, as the title suggests, it's a lesson that will enables you to state your reasons or yung tinatawag natin mga dahilan. So basically, you were going to be asked by your supervisor or your employee, bakit ka, for example, why do you do this thing? Doshte, doshte, doshte shimasu ka? So this bakit mo siya ginawa, 'di ba? So, yun po yung isa sa mga importanteng questions na dapat nating alam pa paano sagutin. So that we could have a peaceful what we call feasible way of living in Japan. No? So feasible in terms of syempre you can express your reasons kasi importante yun. It might cause some of conflicts if we're not able to express ourselves, especially yung reasons natin. Okay? So work importante siya. Okay? So now let's study how to express our reasons or ating mga dahilan why we are. Okay? So let's have. Okay. So in this lesson, besides expressing your reason, we have to establish first yung mga prerequisites. No? So first, we're going to study the use of particle ga, which we're going to be the center of this lesson. Of course, I will going to contrast it with the other particles that we have already discussed in our previous lessons. And also to use sensen masen. So last lesson natin, it's amari dewa arimasen or amari negative, no? So amari is watering down the adjectives or the action. So dito naman, sense and masen, it indicates not at all or absolute negative. Okay. Interrogative, doshte. So ito yung pinaka why. So why do you do it? Or later we explain other variation of why. Okay, doshte. Sentence connector kara. Ito yung to state your reason or to state the reason why you're doing this action. Okay, so let's proceed. So this one will be the longest discussion in this lecture. The use of particle ga or nga. Actually, the pronunciation is nga. Okay, nga. So use of subject marker. So it is a subject marker. So remember the particle wa. So particle wa is a topic marker. Ito daw ay subject marker. So I later will explain to you what's the difference of a subject versus a topic and vice versa. So huwag kayo mahilo. Another use is the marker of the object of the predicate. Nakakahilo naman, sir. Oo, medyo nakakahilo talaga siya. Actually, nag-aaral ako, nakakahilo talaga siya. So this one is in contrast naman siya with the subject or the marker of the direct object of the predicate. Ang nga is the marker of the object of the predicate. At yung isa is the marker of the direct object of the verb. Okay, direct object of the verb. Itong marker of the object of the predicate. So later explain ko siya. Nakakahilo yan. Medyo difficult na part dito kasi we're not native, so kailangan talaga natin adjust natin sarili. Next, use mostly interrogative sentences. I will explain to you yung bakit siya madalas ginagamit. And of course, we have to upgrade ourselves kasi syempre may particle nga. May particle nga na, no? So we have to use it. Okay. And of course, to place emphasis. Okay? So let's proceed. So ito, let's contrast particle nga versus particle wa. So particle wa is basically the topic marker versus particle nga, which is the subject marker. So what's the difference? So the difference is, for example, watashi wa sensei desu. I am a teacher. Okay. Ako, or speaking of me, or concerning me, I am a teacher. So that's the sentence. Now let's use particle nga in a sentence. Sushi ga ski desu ka? So do you like sushi or do you like sushi? So, 'di ba in Japanese we often omit the topic marker. So we often omit rather the topic and together of course the marker, 'di ba? Ito, pwede kong sabihin kasi ng watashi wa sushi ga ski desu ka? So or sorry, dapat pala anata wa. Anata wa anata wa sushi ga suki desu ka? Do you like sushi? Okay. Speaking of you, or the direct translation with the topic would be speaking of you or pertaining to you, do you like sushi? Diba? Kasi it's considering a topic, ikaw yung topic. Pero, syempre, specifically, anong tungkol sa'yo yung pinag-uusapan sa sentence? So that is the subject. Okay. Again, the topic is broad. Mas broad siya. I mean, mas malaki siya. Example, sushi, 'di ba? Versus watashi. So syempre, mas malaking watashi kasi maraming bagay tungkol sa iyo. So in my sentence construction, I will combine it with as follows. Watashi wa sushi nga ski desu. I like sushi. So about me, I like sushi. So yun siya, no? So ikaw yung pinag-uusapan sa topic. Pero anong tungkol sa'yo? So that is a subject. So pertaining to the aspect of the sushi. Okay, so that is the difference of the subject and the topic. Yung topic is medyo broad siya. Now, yung subject is the thing, object, or person, or phenomenon being described by the sentence. Now, in English, parang nakakahilo siya kasi sa English, di ba, dalawa lang yan, subject and predicate. The predicate describe the subject. So, predicate could be either a noun, an adverb, an adjective, or a verb, which describes the noun, which is normally would be your subject, di ba? So, ganun siya. So, basically, the predicate describes the subject, and the subject is the main parang siya yung pinaka story of the sentence. But in Japanese, tato siya. You have the topic, the subject, and the predicate. So the distinction between the topic and subject is quite blurred for us kasi hindi naman tayo not native, no? So ang difference lang niya is predicate is being described, or predicate used to describe the subject. So ganun siya, dinidescribe niya yung subject. Now, the subject is the noun or the phenomenon, the things, the objects being described in a sentence. And the topic is really, ang purpose kasi ng topic is, siya yung parang sumasagot sa tanong na tungkol kanino siya or pertaining to whom or to what or to where and those things, right? So in essence, topic is a bigger compared with the subject. Okay. Now, for the sentence number 1, watashi wa sensei desu. Since there is no subject, the topic assumes now the responsibility or the role of the subject. So watashi wa becomes the topic and both the subject. So ganun siya. Kasi wala kang subject dyan. So basically, ang topic mo, siya yung nag-assume ng function ng subject. So ganun po siya. Now, for the case naman nung second example ko na you can use both topic and subject in a sentence. Watashi wa sushi, for example lang watashi wa sushi ga suki desu. Okay. So I like sushi, or anata wa sushi nga suki desu ka? Do you like sushi? So kailangan mo i-define kung ano talaga yung topic at ano yung subject, because yeah, we're talking about me, or yeah, we're talking about you, but what about you? Diba? Yun ang tanong siya. So that is the purpose of the particle nga, which marks the subject. Okay. So maliwanag na po what's the difference of a topic and a subject. Now, in absence of a subject in a sentence, the topic assumes its responsibility or its function. Now, vice versa din, medyo kasi sa vice versa natin, pwede ba yun? Hindi po pwede yun. Okay. Yun lang po Okay. Sa vice versa, hindi po pwede. The subject cannot assume the responsibility or the function of the topic. Okay, kasi bakit? Number 1, dapat malinaw kasi yung topic nyo. Number 2, since subject is smaller, hindi niya pwedeng i-cover yung mas broader elements ng topic. So, ganun po siya ha. For example, pwede mo ba ipamalit yung sushi sa watashi or sushi sa anata? Hindi, di ba? Ngayon, mukha lang siyang pwedeng gamitin na vice versa kasi nga nawawala yung topic. Pero hindi nangangulugan na pwedeng gamitin ang subject as replacement for the topic. Okay? You know po yan ha. Now, again, To sum it all, in absence of a subject, the topic assumes responsibility of the subject. So basically, the topic is the one being described in the predicate. For example, watashi wa sensei desu. There's no subject, so na-assume natin na watashi is both the topic and as well as the subject. Okay. Next. Next rule. A subject cannot replace the topic because number one, a topic is broader, and number two, the topic should be clear. Kasi yung as pertaining kasi, or speaking of, di ba? Kasi dapat malino kung kanino siya pinatutungkulan. Ngayon, yung subset, kung anong bagay sa kanya hindi ni-describe sa sentence, yun po yung tinutukoy ng subject. Okay, so cannot replace it. Okay? So again, yun po yung ating rule for that. Medyo confusing siya kasi nga we're not trained to think that way, pero that is how Nihonjin construct their sentence. So again, dito rin pumapasok yung importance ng omission of the topic. Kasi nga, kung alam mo na kung ano yung topic mo, inu-omit natin. Kung hindi malinaw or tingin mo magkaka-confuse siya or magkakaroon kayo ng problema, so you have to state it. Okay. For example, sensei des. Pwede nga sabihin sensei des. Kung malinaw sa kausap ko na ako yung tinutukoy. Now, if not, I have to put watashi wa. Okay? So that's the purpose there. Next example. Okay, medyo para mas klarong-klaro tayo. Okay, so another example with the same similar context is watashi wa. Okay, so the topic is about me. So the sentence is about me. So the sentence is pertaining to me, not to anybody, but to me. Okay, next. What about me? So syempre you have to establish the subject. Botaniku. So about or the subject is about the pork, which is being narrated in the perception of my perception or being related to my perception. Okay, ganun siya, no? Kasi syempre, ano yung connection ng baboy sa akin? Syempre, connection doon, ako nagsasalita or the sentence is being used or the perspective of the sentence is coming from my perspective. Okay. So, botaniku nga amari ski dewa arimasen. So, amari, which means to say not so much, ski, hindi ko masyadong gusto. Or for short, I don't like pork that much. Okay, for polite or direct translation would be, I don't like pork that much. Or in literal sense, we don't like pork. Kasi sa Japanese, pag sinabi, amari ski dewa arimasen. So, hindi niya gusto ng pork. Nagiging euphemism lang siya. Nagiging polite lang siya. Okay? So, yun po yung ibig niya sabihin. Okay? Let's go. Okay. So, yun po, no? So, that is particle wa versus particle nga. Okay. What about particle nga versus particle o? Okay. Di ba particle o is about the direct object of the verb, while particle nga marks the object of the predicate. So, di ba parang isa lang yun, sir, di ba? Actually, hindi. Okay. Grammatically, hindi siya. Kasi syempre, they won't use different terminology for the same thing, di ba? So, ito po siya, no? When you say direct object of the verb, it pertains to the verb. The verb lang siya. Wala siyang kinalaman sa predicate. Now, when you say marker of the object of the predicate, okay, predicate is composed of syempre, most likely it would be the verb, pero hindi lang verb ang nagko-compose sa predicate. Of course, they have adjective, possible another noun, or combinations, no? So, mas malaking sakop ng predicate. Sa ito, sige, define pa natin siya. Medyo mahirap nga siya intindihan at first, pero you will makukuha nyo rin to through practice. Example, Nihongo o benkyo shimasu ka? Or Nihongo o benkyo shimasu ka? So basically, Nihongo is the direct object of the verb. Kasi bakit? What did you study? Nani o benkyo shimasu ka? So what did you study? Nihongo, 'di ba? Nasasagot mo siya. And pag tinanong mo 'yung sarili mo, what's the object of the verb? So what is being studied? Nihongo, 'di ba? Now for that, we cannot do that in the case of wakarimasu. Okay. Number one, wakarimasu is special conditions such as together with expression of like, dislike, expression of skills or unskillfulness, and special many other expressions. Okay. Bakit? Kasi Nihongo here takes the form of a object of the predicate. Example. Nihongo nga wakarimasu. So, I understand Japanese. The first, I study Japanese. The second, I understand Japanese. Okay. So, what's the difference? The difference is quite subtle, kaya hindi natin siya makukuha kaagad at first glance, but you would realize that Nihongo o, when you say o, is basically, this one is reliant to the function of the verb. So meaning to say, if we use the wrong verb here, okay, or if we use the different verb here, it parang medyo mahirap na siya makuha kung anong purpose niya sa sentence. Or medyo talagang maling-mali na siya. Now, the other one nga is, of course, it creates the, let's say, I use another verb, medyo may possibility na makuha pa rin natin or may sense pa rin siya, no? Kaso lang, syempre, iba na yung verb na ginamit mo. So, iba yung context na pinaparating. Pero ang dito kasi, it's more of subject siya ng predicate. So, parang, how could I explain it? Medyo mahirap siya explain eh. Yung isa, siya yung, parang for example, ito na lang. Mas madali. Medyo kasi siya, a matter of transitive and intransitive verb. So for example, pizza. Pizza o tabemashita. Okay. I ate the pizza. So basically, ako, kinain ko yung pizza. Next is, pizza nga tabereta or pizza nga tabemashitaka. So, kinain mo or parang tinatanong, kinain mo ba yung pizza? So, ganun siya. So, parang here kasi, or anyway, so baka mas lalo pa kayo malito for this one. Here kasi, basta importante, titignan niyo yung verb. Okay? If the verb is calling for the direct object of the verb, use particle o. Now, for special conditions, such as the use of wakarimasu, arimasu, imasu, nga ang ginagamit natin. Bakit? So, for example, pencil or apple na lang. Sige, apple. Pencil. Pwede rin pencil. Okay, pencil. Empitsu o kaimasu. So, ano yung binili mo? Pencil. So, hindi ko naman pwedeng sabihin empitsu o arimasu. Diba? So, bakit? Kailangan ba ng pencil para mag-exist? Or dahil ba sa pencil kaya siya nag-exist? Diba? Parang ganun. So, eto kasi parang medyo pattern statement sa Japanese, no? So, hindi niya on its own dahil may pencil kaya merong action. So, ganun siya. Example. Another example. Ringo o tabemasu. I ate the apple. Next. Ringo ga arimasu. There is an apple. Okay. Anong difference? Yung first is, kailangan mo ng apple para gawin yung eat or yung verb na eat kasi siya yung direct object of the verb. Yung second, yung Ringo ga arimas. Hindi mo, I mean, the apple itself created the verb. Okay, because of the existence of the apple, it justifies now the verb. So meaning to say, parang in a sense na mas dependent yung yung object pag minamark mo siya na o sa verb rather than nga kasi nga mas dependent yung verb doon sa object. Kasi nga kailangan mo ng apple para ma-mention yung word na exist or to have. Okay? So, yun lang yung difference niya na ma-discuss ko sa inyo. Medyo, some of the verb here are, of course, may mga verbs talaga by pattern talaga siya. So, hindi nyo pwede, let's say, wakarimas, di ba? Palagi siyang nga ang ginagamit. Okay? For most nouns. Okay? Kasi, bakit? Kasi, you have to have this noun for you to justify understanding, di ba? Or comprehension. Hindi siya yung nag-comprehend ka object, di ba? Okay. Anyway, medyo it's quite grammatical standpoint. Medyo mahirap to intindihin. Pero as you practice, medyo may gagets nyo na siya. Next. Ito pa. Okay. More example, more fun. Okay. Ito practice tayo. Eiga o mimas. Okay. Eiga o mimas. I watched a movie. Next. Eiga ga mimas. Okay. So dito nangyayari para nagiging intransitive sa transitive siya. The first one is eiga o mimas is I watch a movie. Yung pangalawa, eiga ga mimas. The movie watch me, which is naging parang creepy, di ba? Para yung movie, watch niya ako. So parang, okay. Kasi siya yung subject of the predicate eh. Ang predicate mo dito is yung mimas. So siya yung naging doer of the action. Now, ikaw yung topic, di ba? Though umitad yung mo, pero ikaw daw yung tinitignan, di ba? So parang creepy siya. So in this sense, you will have of course, each verbs has a corresponding denotation whether to use o or ga. Okay? Kasi nga, it creates that kind of expression sa Japanese. Next is eiga o arimas, which is wrong. It should be nga eiga nga arimas. Bakit? Kasi hindi kailangan ng exist para magkaroon ng movie. Okay? Kumbaga sa mas dependent ang verb mo dito sa object kaysa sa object sa verb. Kasi nga hindi kailangan ng movie para magkaroon ng exist. Pero yung to exist or to have, kailangan niya ng something or ng movie in this particular sense. Yan. So yun po yung difference niya. Hopefully na-gets nyo kasi medyo alam naman natin dahil sa Pilipinas or sa Philippine language or Tagalog and English, medyo walang ganitong discussion tayo, no, masyado. Parang in-assume na natin kasi parang inherent knowledge na natin, no. So yun, ganito sa Japanese. Next, move on. Nga is used to emphasize, to distinguish a person or a thing from all others. If a topic is marked with wa, the comment is most important part of the sentence. On the other hand, if the subject is marked with nga, the subject is the most important part of the sentence. Okay. Ano daw? If the topic is marked with wa or ha, yung sulat natin na ha, no? The comment is the most important part of the sentence. Okay. That's a comment. Now, on the other hand, if the subject is marked with nga, that's the subject is the most important part of the sentence. Okay. So meaning to say, pag the emphasis here is pag minark mo siya ng particle wa or the topic, it's referring or it's a comment. So meaning to say, it's pertaining to or speaking of or pertaining to you, diba? Now, of course, as we all know, in Japanese, we often omit the topic. So it's understood, wala na siya. So we can use nga. Okay, nga marks the subject. The subject is basically yung dinidescribe sa sentence. Could be the doer or the thing that you have done or something about you or part of you being described in the sentence. Yun siya. Okay. Example. Naruto-chan wa daigaku ni ikimasu. So si Naruto ay nagpunta ng school ng university. Naruto-chan went with Naruto-chan will go to the university or went or go to the university. So kasi both future saka present tense yan. Now, sa kabila naman, if I use nga okay, instead of wa, okay. So it turns to be like this. There's a kind of expression. Naruto-chan nga daigaku ni ikimasu. So para halos parehas lang naman siya, no? Parehas siya except for the topic marker wa and the subject marker ga. So ano yung difference ng subject and topic again? Okay, dito yung makikita, dito may emphasize. Ang special call kasi ng particle nga, it's distinguish yung minamarka niya as the subject. So meaning to say, ito siya. The first one is Naruto will go to the university. The second one is Naruto, among all others, goes to the university. Yun siya. So meaning to say, if I use nga, the subject is highlighted as a specific or what we call a definite noun or a definite subject. Okay, meaning to say, among others, ikaw lang, 'di ba? Yung isa kasi parang walang distinction na gano'n. Parang si Naruto lang siya, 'di ba? The best example that I could give to you using the English grammar, though I'm not an English major, hindi ako English linguistics or linguistic major, okay, is the use of article a or an and article da. So what's the difference? For example, ito inherit na natin, ito hindi naman natin napapansin eh. Basta matik na sa atin to. Pero if you analyze it, you will see the specific and non-specific or definite and indefinite nouns, no? For example, is that a pencil? Is that a pencil? Is that a pencil? Bakit hindi natin ginagamit? Is that the pencil? Okay. Bakit? Kasi yung pencil na yan, kahit anong pencil, yun, pwede siya, di ba? Hindi siya definite. Okay. Okay. Again, is that a pencil? So any pencil will do, di ba? Or there is a presumption that that pencil is any kind. Wala siyang specific or hindi siya ma-distinguish. Okay. Now, that's a different story when we use the pencil that I bought last week. The pencil that I bought last week. So, syempre, nadidistinguish na natin yung pencil, di ba? Kasi nga, na yung ginamit mo. Hindi mo naman sinabing, a pencil that I bought last week. Pag a pencil I bought last week, hindi mo na siya ma-distinguish kasi nga, ang dami mo biniling pencil. Ito, yun lang na may binili mo, so nadidistinguish mo siya. Okay, so that's the function of the article da versus article a and an, di ba? So, ganun din yung function nito. Okay, i-relate ko lang yung topic wa or pag sinulat is ha, utang na loob, sulat niyo na siya as ha. Ganyan, pagkakasulat, hindi po yung wa okay, nagkakamali pa rin po yung marami. Para siya non-specific, hindi niya distinguish or hindi niya na-highlight yung topic. Okay, kumbaga sa medyo muted siya, tone down. Pero yung isa kasi, na-highlight niya among others. Si Naruto lang yung nagpunta. Diba? So may ganun. So that is why, okay, for questions involving what and who, since what we're looking for is definite or specific. We're going to highlight it using nga, not wa. So graduate na tayo sa wa. So we have to improve and update our uh, grammar or sentence structure natin. So instead of asking dare wa moraimashita ka, so 'di ba kasi yung last exercise natin, we just there's an attempt for us to really identify lang kung sino yung sender and receiver. So I allowed you to use darewa or dareni, 'di ba? Kasi nga syempre limited lang naman yung vocabulary nyo, and so, of course not to further confuse you with particles. But this time, since we have introduced particle nga, and the topic or the context of the question looks for a definite and specific person or object, we will use nani nga and darega. So for example, for sending and receiving, instead of asking darewa agemashita ka, so who give you that? Should be better, or much more pleasant and grammatically correct if you could ask a question, darega agemashita ka, diba? Darega agemashita ka. So who gave you that, diba? So ganun din siya. Now in essence, particle wa and ga could overlap. Okay. Katulad ng sa question, mas may emphasize tayo sa nga. Now, if we want to really, of course, as I mentioned a while ago, if the topic is broad, for example, you're speaking your experience about Tokyo and you're telling about your friend that you have kasama mo sa biyahe mo sa Tokyo, so you need to set kung sino yung topic and sino yung subject for that. Okay? So, but there's a certain circumstances that, yun nga, katulad nito, particle nga is much more preferred, especially for question, since what you're looking for is specific. Okay. So, ngayon, let's have an example. Dare ga ikimasu ka? Naruto-chan nga ikimasu. Okay. So, pati yung particle din, binabago rin. Kasi syempre, among others have went, diba? Pumunta. So, yun siya. So, that's the purpose why we have particle nga. Okay? Especially useful for emphasis, especially useful for answering question or asking question, looking for a definite person, a definite object. Kasi nga, pag sinabi mong Naruto-chan wa ikimasu, tama naman grammatically, pero mas tama siya kung nga kasi ina-highlight mo na siya lang. Okay? Now, another example pa pala, parang may pasensya na kayo kasi medyo mahirap mag-explain kasi nga I'm explaining it in a point of view ng Japanese, no? So they have a different what we call way of processing this information or this language. Example, snow, yuki, diba? Yuki, snow. So what's the color of the snow? White, diba? Normally white. So my example would be yuki wa shiroi desu. Okay, yuki wa shiroi desu. The snow is white. Okay, the snow is white. Or a snow is white. Okay, a snow is white. Or the snow is white, diba? Ganun siya. Now, okay yon, grammatically correct. Kasi nga, number one, yung snow mo is, hindi naman siya, wala naman specification, mukha siyang general kasi any snow would do, di ba? Parang wala naman siyang notable part na dapat mo i-note. However, if the color of the snow is purple or pink, okay, yuki wa pinku desu. Okay. Hindi mo siya pwedeng gamitin ng particle wa. Instead, you have to use particle nga kasi you have to emphasize that this is unusual, that this one is different, and this one is specific, and this one is unique, pambihira, diba? Definite siya. So instead of saying yuki wa pink desu, you will use yuki ga pink desu. Okay. Yuki ga pink des. Okay. So, pink na siya, hindi siya white, hindi na siya basta snow. Kundi ito lang snow na yon, 'di ba? Parang may highlight or emphasis. Anyway, so yun po yung purpose why they use particle nga. So, to highlight or to emphasize. Okay? So, syempre, kailan ka ba nag-emphasize? Syempre, pag nag-emphasize ka, kung feeling mo merong number one, unusual, number two, unique, at number three, there's a big chance for you to um, or a big chance for you to na i-assume na meron din gumawa ng bukod sa kanya. So for the purpose of stating na siya lang, 'di ba? So para meron tayong ganyan. And especially pag question na yung darega at nano niya. Update na natin sarili na natin kasi nandiyan yung particle nga. Okay? So dareni at Dareni, okay pa rin siya kasi syempre directional yan. Recipient or sender siya. Diba? Pero yung darewa, kasi nga diba yung wa particle wa, hindi siya definite. So parang kahit sino. So ngayon, para mas maganda, kasi nga alam mo naman kung sino siya at hindi naman natin pwedeng ipalit-palit siya or hindi natin pwedeng just to tone his individuality, we use darega. Okay? Mas maganda siyang gamitin. Okay? So, yun na po tayo. Let's move on. Okay. Sensen masen. So, sensen masen is just like amari, dewa, arimasen, or amari negative, no? Okay. Ganun din siya. So, you have to add the negative form. For example, kanji ga sensen wakarimasen. So, kanji ga sensen wakarimasen. So, ibig sabihin is I didn't understand anything or I didn't understand kanji at all. So parang there's an absolute na hindi mo talaga siya naintindihan. Zero, kumbaga 0%, wala ka talagang nakuha. Now, of course, take note na yung gagamitin nating tawag dito, verb should be in negative form, ha? Kasi nga kung positive siya, nagiging positive din siya. For example, kanji ga sensen wakarimasu. So, I absolutely understand. Pero ano yun na, medyo casual form of speech siya. So, parang positive kasi. So, casual form of speech siya. Saka medyo, grammatical incorrect siya kasi sensen ginagamit na siya pag negative. Hindi siya ginagamit pag positive. Okay. But in Japan, since may mga kabataan or mga casual talk natin sa street, so they use, special for youngster, they use sensen for both positive and negative. Okay. But this one, for formal, we use sensen only for negative. And of course, huwag kakalimutan negative, masen deshita. Now, for another example is kanji o sensen yomimasen. So I totally don't, I cannot read the kanji. So yun ibig sabihin niya. Okay? Sensen yomimasen. Okay. Next. By the way pala, syempre, yung mga ganyan, avoid din natin siya pag pag we're describing or medyo kasi sa Japanese, parang emphasis niya lang dito is to gauge your ability. Kasi nga, dito, inaamin mong wala ka talaga, zero knowledge. Okay. But for most cases, we don't use that, no? Very often. Let's move. Okay, doshite. So why? There are different forms of asking reasons. Okay, so I heard, from what I heard in my stay in Japan, we have nase, kokuni. So why are you here? So nase, kokuni. So parang siga to parang gano'n. Kasi nase is more masculine siya. So polite way of stating reason or asking for reason would be doshite. Okay. Another form that they ask question in casual Japan, doshita no, which is why, doshita no. So doshite plus no. So nagiging nawawala yung te, nagiging doshita no. So gano'n lang siya. Doshite pa rin yun. Pero medyo, syempre, informal na siya. Now, doshite refers to reason or why. Nase, pwede rin yan reason. Kasi kaso na syempre, Mas polite ang doshite. Mas neutral kasi siya. Okay. So example, doshite yasumimasu ka? Doshite yasumimasu ka? So why did you take a day off, or why did you take a rest? Parang ganon. Next, ang sagot niya is Netsu ga arimasu kara. So yung kara is that's the reason, or because I have a fever. And take note, yung because natin sa English na uuna, pero sa Japanese dulo siya. Okay, ganun siya, no? Baliktad. Okay. Ganun din siya pag kinambine mo na siya with a sentence or two sentence na stating the result or the cause and effect. Okay. So example, sentence connector kara. So we have sentence connector shoshite and ga, diba? Soshite connects to sentence which is complementary. So both are positive or both are negative. They are complementary. Or parehas lang pinatutunguhan nila. Okay, complementary nga. Now, we have particle sentence connector nga, which is a equivalent of but or parang however yun eh. But or however. Ayan. So it connects two opposing ideas. Okay, for example lang meron pala akong example. Okay. So, now this time we have sentence connector kara. Sentence connector kara is attached at the end of the sentence or phrase to state a reason. So basically, kung sino yung sa dulo niya, yun ang reason. Or, state a sentence or phrase to state as, not season, reason, sorry. Typo tayo dyan. Reason. Okay. Season, it's a season. Reason. Okay. So example, onaka nga itay des. Okay. Onaka nga itay des. Masakit daw ang kanyang tiyan. Okay, masakit ang tiyan. Kara, nani mo tabemasen. Okay. So, nani mo tabemasen. Nani mo, which is nani mo, negative verb. Ibig sabihin, walang kakainin or nothing to eat, ganyan. Nani mo tabemasen. So guess what? Alin dyan yung cause and effect? Okay. Para nag-isip tayo, no? Okay. If your way of thinking is the English version, diba? Para sa English kasi, how we think is, parang ganito siya, no? My stomach is aching because I didn't eat I didn't eat at all. Diba? Parang, my stomach is aching because I didn't eat at all. Parang ganon. So, nauuna muna yung effect bago yung cause sa English, diba? Parang ganon. Now, sa Japanese, hindi. Okay. Again, balik, diba? Pag nag-mark ka ng particle kara, you're stating the reason. Or meaning to say the cause. Okay, you're stating the reason or the cause. Okay. So, in this sentence, baliktad. Okay. Kaya ka walang kakainin dahil masakit ang tiyan mo. Okay. So the cause would be, or the reason, onaka nga itay des. So you have a stomach ache. So that is why, or the effect would be, nani mo tabemasen. So you won't eat you won't eat, you will not eat anything, parang ganon. Okay, hirap tuloy mag-translate. So ganun siya. Okay, so cause, kara, effect. So kung ano yung sentence na mark ng cause or ng kara would be the cause or the reason. For example, going back to our previous statement, doshite yasumi mastaka. So why are you taking a leave? Okay. Netsu ga arimasu kara. So arimasu kara, netsu ga arimasu kara. So it means to say because I had a fever. So that is the cause or the reason why you are taking a leave. So it will be as follows. Netsu ga arimasu kara. Tapos, state that you are kaisha ga yasumimashita. Kaisha ga yasumimasu. Ganun ba? So, I have a fever. That is why, or because of it, I'm taking a break from the company. Diba? So, netsu ga arimasu kara, kaisha ga yasumimasu. Okay, so that is the reason. The cause is you have a fever. The effect is you're taking a break. Okay. So yun po sa English, medyo baliktad. Sa English, baliktad tayo, no? So, ang tanong natin is, why are you or parang ganito, parang ganitong formulation natin sa English. I will be taking my leave because I have a fever. Diba? Parang nauna mo na palagi yung effect bago yung cause. Or nauna muna yung gagawin mo bago yung reason. Diba? Sa Japanese, baliktad. Cause and effect talaga, literally. So, let's have more example. So, last example natin. Tokyo wa oki tokoro desu nga. So, but, diba? Nga is but. So, this should be what we call contradicting sentence, or it's a contradicting kasi may particle nga as connector. Urusakunai desu. Okay. Tokyo wa oki tokoro desu nga. Urusakunai desu. It means to say that Tokyo is a big place, but it's not noisy. So, ibig sabihin, there is an expectation for this person that since it's a big place, dapat maingay siya. Hindi siya maingay. Nakalagay, urusai kunai. Urusakunai desu. So, it's not noisy. Okay. So, it's a contradicting statement. Now, ang cause and effect statement naman, syempre may, siya, diba? Pair yan. So, when you do something, it causes the effect. It affects, diba? Ganun siya. So, for example, Tokyo wa yume na tokoro desu. So, Tokyo is a famous place. Kara, kaimono wa takai desu. Okay. Kaimono wa takai desu. Kaimono or shop or things to be buy or shopping or yung general shopping is expensive. Takai kasi expensive. So Tokyo is a famous place. That is why or because it is famous, yung cause natin kasi famous siya eh. Okay? The cause is Tokyo is famous. The effect is that the kaimono or the things that you have to buy is expensive. Okay? Yun po siya. Okay? And of course, syempre, ginamit niya dalawang particle, no? Particle wa. Okay. So, yung first statement, speaking of Tokyo. Yung pangalawang statement is about yung sa shopping. Okay. Pero pwede niya rin gamitin dito nga, yung about kaimono nga takai desu. Okay, pwede din yun. Kasi nga, if he wants to parang to emphasize what part of Tokyo experience, diba? Or what part of Tokyo he is referring to. However, since it's para mas madali siguro mag-contrast is ginamit niya yung wa. Okay? So, okay na mag-grammatical. Okay. So, I think that's all. So, medyo mahirap na aralin dito is the use of particle nga. Yun ang medyo magpapahirap sa buhay natin sa lesson na to. At yung cause and effect. Kasi, tandaan, nakakalito yan. Sa Japanese, baliktad ang placement mo. Mauna mo, literally talagang cause. Unahin mo muna yung cause bago yung effect. Palaging gano'n. At kung ano yung minamarka ng particle kara, yun ang cause. Okay? Yun ang cause. Okay? So, ang kara palagi nasa dulo siya. Okay? So, that's the reason. Pag magrarason ka, nasa dulo yung kara. So, verb tapos kara. Okay? So, ganun po tayo. Anyway, thank you very much. Minasan, Oscar Samadeshta. So, aral-aral lang tayo. Huwag susuko. Kaya natin to. Gambare mas.